People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right. On today's episode, we have an amazing lady. I've been working Wilderness Resort for probably more than 20 years now, since before I met you.
For me, yeah.
And managers have come and gone, but this lady has just snuck in a little bit prior to the pandemic, and she's become like family. She's one of the ones that we look forward to working with.
Yeah.
And I talked to her a couple weeks ago, and she said, yeah, I'm leaving soon. No! And she said, well, I might be back, though, because I'm going to go hike the Appalachian Mountain, the Appalachin Trail. We got to have you on the podcast. I want to know all about it. Yeah. So everybody, I want to introduce you to my buddy, Roxy Villone. What's up, girl? How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing great. I don't have a big adventure in front of me, so I'm going to live through you. So I got twins. That's our adventure.
Yeah, right.
That's a daily adventure.
That's a good enough adventure for now. Maybe we'll join you in your hikes later.
Yes, a lot of people are living vicariously through me in this hike for sure. So join along.
Nice.
How often do you plan on posting, like on Instagram?
Probably as often as I have a signal, because it certainly isn't going to be all the time, given that I'll be out in the middle of the woods most of the time. So whenever I get a signal, whenever I get to town, I'll be able to post on Instagram or post on Facebook, just updates, kind of how things are going and what life is like out on the trail.
Do you think it'll be daily? Are you not possible?
I don't expect it to be daily. And the other piece is that I think some people go out with the intention to blog and report and do everything all the time. Part of this for me too is kind of cutting off that part too, and just being able to put the phone down, put the social media down, and really enjoy where it is that I'm at and what I'm doing.
Well, I told you my notes. I have nothing here. I have 3 lines on this page because I know it's gonna be off the cuff. I have so many questions whirling in my head. I don't even know where to start. But when I was interviewing you for this, I mean, you're my boss at one of the resorts, and I'm like, we know you, but we don't know you that well. So I was asking you your name. Like, I call you Roxy, but what is your name? Natalie didn't hear that conversation. Tell everybody your name and where it came from.
So my name is actually Roxandra. So it's Roxandra Leah. I have 3 older half sisters. My mom let them name me and each pick a name. And thankfully they liked me because it could have ended up a lot worse. So one wanted Roxanne, one wanted Cassandra. One was a Star Wars fan. My middle name's Leia. So they smushed the first 2. Roxandra Leia is what it ended up being.
That's neat.
Different?
Yeah, that's a really neat story. And yes,
Yeah,
you are very
pretty cool.
Out with a good name.
Yeah, again, it could have been way worse. Like, thankfully they were looking forward to my arrival because it could have been bad.
Yeah.
It could have been.
We let Lana
could have been Cookie Monster, Elmo,
right?
Leia.
Right.
Yeah, something nuts. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what the boys would be named if we let Lana pick the names. It would be something crazy. I just know something off the wall.
Oh yeah.
Like some weird names. I'm like, okay.
You name your kid that.
Yeah.
When we had ours coming, she wanted to chip in and have.
Yeah.
Do you remember the girls' names?
I remember what I wanted to name if we had a girl, but I don't remember.
Lana had some crazy ones.
Yeah, no, I probably don't remember because I like dismissed them. Like, no, that's not happening. So
No.
So, are you a huge Star Wars fan, or are you just kind of like because like?
Well, I have a boy who's not a boy anymore. He's quite the grown young man. He's and so he grew up in the like second era of Star Wars with like, which is technically like 1, 2, and 3. So he kind of grew up in that era. So I didn't have a choice, with a son to go Star Wars. So yeah, I'm all about it.
Nice.
All right.
I thought you were about to say you named your son something Star Wars. I was like,
no, gosh, he might like really. He's gonna listen to this now and be like, "Thank you, Mom. I'm so glad you did not do that."
Luke didn't come into the equation at all.
Nope, not at all. Nope.
No. All right. So have you been a hiker your whole life? Let's get back to this whole thing. Have you loved outdoors, loved hiking your whole life?
Yeah. So I I definitely love the outdoors. I think, from an early age, I grew up in an era where you played outside until the street lights came on and you rode your bikes around to, find out where everyone was with all the bikes in that yard and, playing in the woods and getting dirty and doing things like that. And so, as I got older, I learned from my sister. So my sister that passed away, she used to ride her bike all the time. And we started mountain biking and doing these long bike rides together. And her and my other sisters, we would go camping and we didn't have a whole lot of money growing up. And so you find ways to do family vacations that are inexpensive, but still, a great time. And I enjoyed it, but I don't think I realized then how much I was going to get into it. As I got older, I had my son and we would do the same thing, right? So didn't have a whole lot of money, single mom raising him, and just find ways to go have a good time together. And we would go down to the creek and get a kayak and just, row around on the river or just play in the river for that matter, and go camping and would go hiking. And so he and I always spent a lot of time doing things like that. And now as an adult and my son's an adult and I've continued on in that and just really enjoy the outdoors. It's kind of where I feel at home. I feel at peace. And so that's just kind of how I got to this point. The trip itself is a whole other, ball game. I didn't just go, let's go hike the AT for, 6 months, it was kind of a process to get there, but I'm definitely looking forward to this crazy adventure that I'm about to partake on.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's really cool. Me and my dad, we weren't going to do the whole thing, but this was.
Oh, wait. I told her that you were going to hike the Appalachian Trail. And she said, I was too. I bought hiking boots and everything.
I didn't mean the
No,
whole
you're
thing.
doing it a little different.
No, we were going to do it for like 3 or 4 days. Neither one of us have ever done the whole carry everything on your back, hike and pitch tent. So we were going to try it for 3 or 4 days, see how we liked it, and then plan something longer later. But my dad was in the Army, and for the time that we had it planned, they decided to send him elsewhere. And he said, I tried to ask them, hey, can you postpone sending me? And they were like, okay, well, if you don't want to go then, we can send you to this other location, which is like 20 times worse. And he was like, never mind, we'll go here. So
it was literally Germany or Afghanistan. That was the difference.
No, Germany was when I was little. I can't remember where he went, but so we never ended up going because life just got busy, and that was when I was in high school, and it was towards the end of high school, and then I went off to college, so we never got a chance. So I was really looking forward to it. I was really hoping I would enjoy it, but then I married this one who doesn't want to go hiking. Like, I'm like, I would love to go hiking. Let's go take a hike out in the woods. And he's like, we have the trails. Let's walk those. I'm like, well, we've walked those 100 times. Let's go see something different.
Let's go somewhere new.
I like being outside. I love being outside. I hate the feeling of being lost. I hate being tricked, and they say this is a strenuous path, and it's going to be 3 miles. And next thing you know, it's 2 a.m, and you can't find your car. That's not fun for me. That's
user error. I think that's user error on the map. I don't think that's.
I hate that. Well, but I do love being outside. I love it.
There's a few people I know that I've gone on those types of hikes with, like you said, Wes, and I was like, no, the map says we're only like a quarter of a mile. We're good. We can keep going. We're fine. And a few hours later, they're looking at me like I'm a crazy lady, and they're never going to hike with me again. So that does happen. It's a thing. So I like that aspect of it, though. I'm like, what's the next adventure? Where are we going to end up?
I don't like escape rooms for the same reason. I've never been to one. I just know I don't like because I like puzzles, but now you got me under a time clock, and I don't know what you're thinking yeah, your thinking might be alphabetic or it might be mathematical, and my thinking's this way. And now I look stupid because you were thinking the other way. And now I'm trapped in it. I don't like it. I'm not going to pay money for that. I don't want it.
I think
The nat-
that's the problem.
Oh, absolutely. So there's
Yeah.
a natural time clock when you're hiking, and that's the sun. And as it starts to go down, it gets dark in the woods. I didn't know if you guys knew that or not, because some people don't realize that. It's like, hey, there's sharks in the water too. So when the sun goes down, it gets darker in the woods earlier than when the sun, hits sunset. So that's kind of the time clock in equivalency to the escape room, is like, you got to get into camp and you got to get things going, and there's things like getting your water and getting camp set up and getting, have you eaten, have you put your, I'm carrying a bear canister, you have your bear canister away. So there's a time clock. There's still a time clock no matter what.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, if it's on the same thing, I was gonna change subject.
I'm probably changing the subject.
Oh, okay.
I was scrolling through TikTok Reels, something today, and these people came on there and they're like, we're going to hike across America. And I'm like, I wonder if Roxy's seen this. And they're like, we did it wrong the first time. We did it wrong. People offered us a place to stay and we're like, no, we're camping tonight. We have hotel reservations here tonight. This time we're taking anything anybody gives us. And they also said that the woman gained, she said she walked across the country and everybody thought she was going to be a stick when she showed back up. But she actually gained 50 pounds walking across the country because she was eating ramen noodles and McDonald's because it was cheap.
Yep.
And that's just something Natalie's like, that many calories, you're burning that many calories walking all day. Yeah, honey, add McDonald's to the mix. Yeah, I guess so.
Well, at first he just told me ramen noodles. I'm like, you have a couple servings of ramen noodles a day. You'd still, all that walking you think would burn it off. But if she's doing McDonald's on
You
top
can't
of
live
it,
on ramen noodles though.
You can't. You absolutely can't. It's one of the reasons I've been prepping my food and like dehydrating my own stuff, because I am not 23 who can live off of ramen and Pop-Tarts and McDonald's, like those people, and expect to be able to make it the entire way and still, be upright. It's just not going to happen. So I've you've got to work on your food. You got to make sure your nutrition's right, your diet's right. It's a process. It's a thing.
So you said it's going to take you about 6 months.
Give or take. Some people, some people walk faster, some people walk slower. So, it just depends. A lot of it depends on Mother Nature. Right now down in the Smokies, everybody's posting pictures of all the snow that's happening. So you never know. Last year, it was a warmer summer, so Mount Katahdin up in Maine actually didn't close until I think it was the first week of November, when normally they close at the beginning of October. So it's kind of this juggle that, you're going on this adventure, but you quite literally can't plan everything because there's a lot that's just kind of left unknown. And you've got to be able to adjust to it. People that, struggle with doing that tend to not do quite as well on the trail. So, because you have to adjust. So for me, I've planned savings wise for about 7 to 8 months total, just to give myself a cushion. This is quite literally the most expensive way to be homeless for this long. So saving up and making sure that things are covered and taken care of back home, as well as while I'm out there. It's been an interesting journey this past year to get to that.
So this may be a dumb question, but I'm going to ask because I've never done this before. As far as food goes, you can't pack food for 6 months. So how long at a time are you going to be? I know you got to pick stuff up along the way, but how long are you planning to at each stop to pack for? I guess is what does that make sense?
Well, she said she's freeze-frozen food, but she can't
But
carry
that's not
900
gonna last.
pounds of freeze-dried food for 7 months.
Right. That's not going to last for 6 months.
So when I decided to actually do this about a year and a half ago at this point. And I was like, all right, I'm going to give this a try. And well, I better start saving up now and I better start, preparing. So I've been freeze drying my own fruits, my own vegetables. I've been stockpiling all of my pantry items, rices, veggie rices, things like that. Because like I was saying, nutrition is so important because, calories, you are just burning calories by the time, you're done. Some people are burning upwards of, 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day just in the walking that they're doing. And so you have to be smart about what it is that you're putting into your body. So, a lot of people too will kind of start off and you're going and there's no really good training for this. So even if I spent every day in the gym walking, on the treadmill or the Stairmaster, your body is not conditioned to do this kind of work unless you're doing it every single day. So people will get out there and they'll start walking and they're feeling good and they're like, oh, it's only 2:00. I can make it to the next shelter, and they'll keep going. So I have put myself on a very tight schedule to start for the first probably 4 weeks. I'm only going to hike at the most 10 miles a day. One that keeps my body not overexerted and I'm not, putting pressure or any extra, stress on places that I already know I can do 10 miles comfortably with my pack. I'm not going to go over that. So even if I get into camp at 1:00, I'm going to stop and camp. So my food supply that I'm going to be sending to myself will be about every 70 miles to start, just as to keep it at basically about 1 week's time. As I continue to go, I'll adjust because again, I will probably start increasing, to 12 miles or 15 miles or whatever's comfortable at that point. So I have somebody back home that'll be shipping my boxes to me as I, develop my pace as I go.
Nice.
So how does that work? How do you ship it ahead of time?
So I already have planned out some of my stops for the first month. So essentially, there's an AT guide. They put it out every single year. They do it at the end of the previous year, and it literally has the most up-to-date, accurate information you can get, even where there have been like recent bear sightings in the past year. Where's the closest water supply? Every single 1/10 of a mile is planned out from start to finish. And so you're able to take a look and even see, hostels, hotels, there's folks that do trail shuttles, there's all these different things. So given what I plan to do for myself, which is about 10 miles a day. Okay. For the, first week. All right. Where does that put me at about 70 miles? Find a good place. Okay. I'm going to mail my package ahead to there. I'm actually going to start doing that here in the next week, just because I don't know how long it's going to take to get there. It may take two weeks. This is going to the middle of nowhere, right? Down in Georgia. So, send it there. I'm staying at a hostel at one of them. So there are a lot of hostels along the way or outfitters that'll hold your package. You mail it to yourself, for this person, essentially through hiker, expected date of arrival you put on there, and they'll hold their package for you. Some places charge a fee if you're, staying there. Some places, if you're staying there, they don't charge a fee. And so they'll hold your boxes for you. You can mail it to post offices, all sorts of places along the trail up the way. You can do that.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
So is there any, we went on a rock scrambling hike, which was, I thought it was going to be fun. She got stressed out. I had fun. She got stressed out because literally there was 80-foot, 100-foot drops between the rocks.
Yep.
That it was like a 3-foot jump, and there was 80 feet down. I have to take the baby. Lana was probably 4 at the time.
Yeah, 4.
Across and she's like, let's turn around. We're at the top of this mountain. Honey, it might
Was
be
it
better.
Old Rag that you guys did?
Huh?
Was it Old Rag that you did?
I think so.
It may have been.
I think so. But it was
yeah.
like, I didn't know. I was like, okay, there's one thing we're climbing up and you don't have to look down, and I can kind of ignore. I'm trying to be strong for Lana because she's freaking out. And I'm like, holy crap. And as she's looking the other way, I'm turning around going, if we have to go back down this way. We're screwed. We need a helicopter because I can't do it. I mean, looking down and climbing down, that's woo. But luckily it looped all the way around.
We had lunch
So,
at the top. It was beautiful.
it was beautiful once we got
But
to the
you
top.
couldn't get next to the edges because she was freaking out. And I'm like, honey,
Lana
enjoy
was
it.
freaking out worse. Once we got to the top, it was fine. It was getting, and mostly my anxiety was I didn't want my daughter falling off the darn rocks. I mean, it was scary. It was.
Oh, absolutely.
But our homeschool group had went there and recommended it for little kids. It was pretty big. Seriously.
Yeah.
That's why we took it, because we had a show the day that the homeschool group toured it. So we went on our own, just by ourselves. And we're like,
Wow.
the homeschool 3-year-olds here? Whoa.
Well, she said, well, for 3-year-olds, she did have a little thing where, you just kind of pass the 3-year-old, but, they were Lana's age. I think she was about 5, and, she'd be all right. I'm like, okay, cool. But they didn't say, you're climbing up this hill and one side is just straight down drop.
Yeah.
But do you have to do any of that with the pack on your back and all of that?
Yes. So funny story, specifically, that's why I asked if it was old rag. So, one of the last few nice days that we've had, and, weird Virginia weather here, I was like, all right, I got a great day. I actually have a day off from my, one of 4 jobs. I'm going to go out and get a shakedown hike in. So, like I said, I'm already comfortable doing, 10 miles with my pack on, no problems. And so I'm like, all right, old rag. I've never done old rag. I've lived here for years. Let me go do this. It says, strenuous, this is my hike kind of. I'm like, you don't know what they're talking about. I'm going to hike the AT. I got this, no problem, right? So I took my pack, which is a little over 40 pounds right now, and I did that hike. And yes, it's a crazy hike to do that. I found myself like shoving my pack in front of me, which, as a thru hiker, like once you have your pack on, you don't want to take it off. Like there's so many bad things that can happen the moment that you do take that pack off. So plus it just weighs an insane amount and it's awkward to get on and off. So you want to leave it on. And that drop where you're talking about going in between the rocks, I'm 5'2". I'm like, well, what are my options here? And, dropping the pack down and getting through, and same thing. I turn around, I'm like, well, I can't go back that way. I don't know which direction I'm supposed to go this way. And so there's one section on the AT. It's called the Mahoosic Notch. It's further up north, and it's quite literally like the top section of Old Rag. And so by the time I got finished and I got back down, I was like, all right, Roxy, you did that. That means you'll be okay. Like, if there's only one section on the entire AT for the most part that's crazy rock scramble climbing, doing this parkour rock climb hiking combo, then the rest of the mileage should be fine. Like if you manage to survive and not hurt yourself and fall off a cliff, you're good. So
Parkour. When you say parkour, that's kind of what that thing is like. It wasn't.
Really is.
I thought it was climbing a little bit of rock. I thought it was a little bit of rock climbing. I didn't know it was jumping over gaps.
I was like, all right,
is not the way to name it.
no,
But I would do it again.
Not with kids.
Well,
I would do it again, but not with my pack. Absolutely not. Never again.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because the Mahoosic Notch, it's a small section, it's a mile or two, essentially, where you're doing quite that. You're going down under rocks, through rocks, you're crawling through these, holes, and you're going up, you're going down, and you're going all over the place. And but people camp right before it, spend that day getting through it, and then stop and break camp just after it, right? Old Rag is like a 10-mile hike. You're going up, you're going through it, and then you got to come back down. So I like I said, I kept telling myself, I'm like, all right, Roxy, you did Old Rag. You can conquer the AT. You will be fine. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. So what made you want to do this hike? I mean, this is a major thing. What was the catalyst that said I'm gonna put my life on hold? People, I was going to do something for 3 months of a magic stunt. And my family was like, you're going to go crazy. You can't do that for 3 months. You're doing this for 7 months, and it's just you by yourself.
Yeah, but it's different than that.
Sure, it's different. But, I mean, she put her life on hold. She had to save up money. This was yeah, go ahead. Tell us. Sorry.
It's a crazy commitment. I can definitely assure you of that. Like I said, it is the most expensive way to be homeless for half a year, by far. So, you know, a year or so ago, I went through a separation, and it was pretty rough. And so afterwards, I decided I was going to take myself on a little trip, and I went down to North Carolina and did some really crazy stuff that, you know, I never thought I would be able to do, or that I would naturally talk myself out of. I went spelunking for 4 or 5 hours, you know, belly crawling through these, you know, mud tunnels that are like this big around, and wading through these cave rivers. And I went kayaking in a dinghy that the guy was like, oh, you'll be fine, you're good. And, you know, class 3 rapids, and went hiking up Mount Rogers. And so I did all these things, and anyone that knows me or will tell you, 1, I'm claustrophobic. I don't do small spaces well. 2, I'm not a big fan of the dark, and I'm deathly afraid of the water. If I can't see my feet in the water, I don't get in. And so I did all these crazy adventurous things that I would not have naturally done. And the whole time I'm like, okay, I'm gonna die. This is it. I'm dying. What are you doing? Like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? This is the stupid mistake. Why are you out here? You know, you're hiking up in the mountains, you're alone, you're doing all these crazy things. And at the end of the 4 days, I realized that I had never felt more alive in my life. And it was kind of a wake-up call that, you know, I think as humans, we naturally, as we get older, right, you know, we don't want to ride the crazy roller coaster like we did when we were 16. You know, I could fall off, I could get hurt, I'm going to get whiplash. This is not a smart thing to do. So we give ourselves more and more excuses why not to do the things that we really want to do in life, that give us energy, and that give us, you know, this sense of living. And I think as women, we do it even worse, right? Because we have to be a mom, we have to be a wife, we have to be a caregiver, we have to be smart, we have to, you know, do all the right things. And so we stop doing these adventurous, crazy things that really give us a sense of purpose, so to speak, and kind of why we're here and what we're doing. And so I realized, you know what? All right, I'm gonna be 40, or I'm gonna be 50. I'd love to be 40, but I'm gonna be 50 here soon. And so what's like the one big thing? What's one really big thing? Like, you just went and did this in 4 days and crushed it. And how do I keep that going? How do I keep that going? And then not only that, but am I able to share my story with somebody else that maybe gives them the encouragement or the inspiration to kind of go out and do the same thing? You know, I'm, you know, I need to be smart, I don't make enough money, I'm too fat, I'm not pretty enough, you know, whatever our excuse is to not do the things that make us happy. It's hard to put that away, and it's hard to go out and live life and overcome those kinds of things. So for me, this is me overcoming it. And as well, you know, hopefully I maybe inspire some other people along the way to do the same.
I love it. That's awesome. That's great. That's the best reason ever. I love it.
You're not gonna leave me and go hiking, are you?
Maybe you might be a joiner.
I don't know. The father and me had conversations off the air about like safety and things.
Yep.
How many other people have come to you just ask about your safety and your well? Because you're not checking in every day on Facebook. How do I know you haven't fallen between the rocks on the old rag? How do I know?
Right.
Your friend, I want to check in on you.
People checks in with when you have service, right?
So that's part of it. So I have a lot of people that are very concerned for my safety. So I'm actually carrying a GPS tracker. It's a fun little satellite. It's only this big. It's got connection to National Search and Rescue, and so it has a fancy little SOS button on the side of it that I can push in the event that I do go rolling down the cliff. And hopefully search and rescue will be able to find me. But it also has features where I can send messages out. There's a feature for folks to even be able to follow along with me that I invite. So the fam and close friends, those folks will be able to actually keep tabs of me literally in 10-minute intervals. It's that to the point of where I'll be along the way. And then as far as the big stuff, I'll post as I go along. But security and safety was kind of a big deal for me too, because I've never done this, right? Like I've gone hiking, sure, and I've loved to play in the woods and do all these fun adventurous things, but I've never done a through hike before. I've never gone long distance hiking for more than a couple days. So yeah, I mean, anything could happen, and I want to be somewhat smart about it, as smart as I can be and prepared. And it was an investment that was an easy investment to make on that. So yeah.
Are you taking more mental photography, or are you taking a good camera out there? You're gonna see some amazing things.
What was that?
Well, you got people that says, I'm just gonna put it away. I'm just gonna take it in my hike and put it away. I need to see it later on or I'll forget it. What are you?
So I am the crazy photographer. I'm that friend that you take with you to the concert, and I'm like taking a million pictures the whole time because I'm like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. So it'll be an interesting thing to see how I manage to do this. But I did buy a brand new phone for that reason, because it has a much better camera on it. Just is so that I can take great pictures, because there's going to be spots I may never see again, and things that I'm going to want to remember and capture. And I'm naturally that type of person. Oh, look at this really cool leaf. What's this flower on the ground? And all my friends will tell you, I have more pictures of mushrooms and flowers and nature on my my walls than I do of anything else. So it'll be.
Natalie has an app on her phone. She takes a picture of a plant or a tree, and it tells her what it is. You got to have
I
those.
have that too. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely, same thing.
Yeah. What about shoes? How many pairs of shoes are you planning on going through 10 miles a day?
So I estimate that I will go through probably at least 5 to 6 pairs of shoes over the course of the entire trip. At least
really nice, expensive hiking boots. These aren't Walmart off the shelf $20 pairs. Yeah.
So they are not hiking boots. So I'm actually wearing trail runners because they are much lighter. It's kind of the one of the questions that through hikers go back and forth over is hiker boot, trail runner, hiker boot, trail runner. And so it's something I'm comfortable with. It's something I've been wearing to break in. I've actually been breaking in the first 3 pairs already for the last 6 months. And so they are a lot lighter, and my pack is already heavy enough. They dry out much faster than your average hiking boot. And the reality is your feet are going to get wet, and your feet are really, really important. You need to take care of your feet and your hands more importantly than anything else. And so I have, I have waterproof socks that I've bought that I'm still in the process of deciding whether I'm going to take or not. But just making sure that you take care of your feet is really important. So the trail runners are light. They don't wear your feet out quite as much, and they dry out a lot quicker. Now they don't give you as good of stability, especially even in your ankles. So sections like Pennsylvania, where it gets really, really rocky, I'm considering to switch to a hiker boot at that point. But before then, I'll probably just wear trail runners most of the way.
So are you going to have like an extra pair packed and then just have a pair of shoes sent with some of your food later on down the road? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll have I'll have my one pair that I'll have with me to start. And then I have camp shoes. I'm going with flip-flops. A lot of people go with Crocs. But I'm wearing my flip-flops. And then you know, your one shoe is your one shoe, you know, and unfortunately enough, I mean, the AT is really nice. There's a ton of support along the way, right? So you're going through a lot of areas where, you know, 4,000 to 5,000 people do this hike a year roughly. And so businesses have been set up, hostels have been set up, you know, there's a lot of support along the trail. So, you know, if I have a pair of shoes that blow out and I am not able to get another pair in soon enough, you know, it's not going to be completely unrealistic to within the next, you know, whatever, 40 or 50 miles, be able to find something. But ideally, I'll be able to plan it out to where, okay, this pair of shoes starting to go, I'll have the next pair sent in with my resupply box.
Yeah. Nice. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to plan.
It is an insane amount to plan. And then to plan so much, but at the same time, there's so much left that I can't plan, that is literally up to chance and, you know, Mother Nature, and, you know, who knows what else will come along. And I may say here now, and okay, I'm going to do, you know, 10 miles a day, and that's what I'm going to do. And maybe I get out there and I really struggle and I'm only able to do, you know, 7, or the weather's really bad one day and I'm only able to do, you know, a couple, or I have to take what's called a 0 and I don't hike at all that day. So it's a lot of planning, which for someone like me is great because I love planning and having everything, you know, game plan laid out. But it's also kind of good to challenge myself because there's a lot left up to chance, that I'm going to have to make decisions on the fly, and I'm going to have to be able to, you know, fluctuate and make a new plan. They say the hardest thing to do on the trail is to be able to adapt.
Yeah.
There's got to be chat rooms and Facebook groups for people doing this. 50,000 people. There's got to be another single female that you get along with, that you can hike with. I would be just the boredom. I mean, it's amazing. It's fun. Now, me, I like going outside, and we have 5 acres here. To me, from where I came from, 3/4 of an acre, I feel like I have paradise in my backyard. I can spend hours just hiking my trails, picking up sticks and cleaning up, and I love it so much. But I like that alone time. But in chunks.
Right.
I like to cuddle next to the fire. I like to, you know, hey, come see what I did today. I picked up these sticks and made this pile. Come see what I did here. I want to share my adventure with somebody. You have Instagram.
People on the trail though too, I'm sure.
What's the chances you not hooking up, but hooking up with somebody on the trail and going on their adventure with them?
Well, so a lot of people, you know, that, you know, oh, my first question, you know, oh, you're going to do this hike alone? Like, that's question number 1. And you know, then there's the other questions that follow thereafter. But the first question is always, you know, are you doing this alone? And so it's an interesting concept, because even if I were to go with somebody else, right, they are going to hike at a different speed. Their pace is going to be different. It is very difficult to do something like this with somebody, because I may hike faster, I may hike slower, I may decide I need a break, I may decide I want to take 15 breaks and they want to take 2 breaks. And trying to keep that same pace with somebody is difficult. It's a challenge, especially for 2,200 miles. So a lot of people do this alone. I actually just met a girl the other day. She, you know, there was a group that I follow on Facebook for all of us through hikers for this season. And her and I are starting on the exact same day. Ironically enough, she lives in Charlottesville, Virginia. And so we've just kind of been chit-chatting. So it's nice. You know, I may run into her out on the trail. Hopefully I do. I may never see her again. But the cool thing about this is you end up developing your tramily, which is your trail family, and it fluctuates again as everything else does on the trail. And you kind of start out with some folks that maybe hike the same pace as you, and you start to see every day, and you have a camaraderie with, or you have things in common, and you get to know these people, and you you look after each other. And so you have your trail family that really becomes that piece for you, with the social aspect that you're missing every day, you know, in a normal day-to-day life. And you do get that, but the AT only has a 25% completion rate. So as you go further and further in your hike, in this case for me, it's northbound, those numbers thin out. So there's less and less people that I will see as the further north that I go. And so it does get to points where you're alone and you're in solitude. And folks that have completed this or have attempted to complete it have said the mental aspect was quite literally the hardest part. Like, over all of the physical and the carrying your food and being outdoors and, you know, doing all that stuff, the mental, you know, solitude and being alone and being alone with yourself is tough. And that's the hardest piece to be able to get you through it. And if you don't have the right mindset and you can't stay positive or find joy in what it is, or, you know, whatever it is that gets you through it, you got to figure that out. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see.
So what happens if something happens and Roxy just gives up? How upset are you going to be with yourself, or is it just, I tried it, you know, I learned and it's good and everything's good?
So of course, all of us that intend to do this, nobody wants to quit, right? No one wants to quit, but there are already folks that have just started in the last few weeks that are like, can't do it. I wasn't prepared. I didn't have this, you know, it's the weather, it's whatever the case may be. My ankles are already shot, like whatever the case may be. And so
it rained for 3 days straight.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Well, yeah, you're outside.
Yeah. And so, you know, I had no idea what I was getting into. There's actually one of the first big sections you kind of cross through. There's all these shoes hanging in a tree, and it's literally, and there's so many of them that every year they have to come and cut them down. And so me starting a little bit on the later end of the bubble, I imagine there will be a number of shoes up there, but it's folks that are like, nope, I'm done and I'm out. And so people quit pretty quick. And I'm okay with it. Like, I don't want to, but if I have to, like if my body is saying, nope, you're done, you're out, then I am. You know, I've done a ton of doctor's appointments in the last couple months. Laura will tell you, I've been gone every week with a doctor's appointment, checking everything. And, you know, okay, I'm 47. Like, is this still good? Is this still good? Can I go here? And can I do these kinds of things? But I feel like I'm as prepared as I can be. But, you know, I could twist an ankle. I could get the worst thing, actually, statistically speaking, the number one thing that'll take me off the trail is Lyme disease. Ticks are like the most dangerous thing on the trail out of everything else. And so just being smart. And again, this is why you have your trail family, and, you know, tick checks, and you're looking, and you got to make sure you're good and be smart about stuff. But
Are you
if I have to, yeah, exactly. No, I even thought about cutting all this off at one point just for the head, make it easier. So, you know, some people do. But they say if you don't, you know, if you're going northbound, there's a hypothetical midpoint, which is Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. And, you know, the Mount Katahdin is only open pretty much from middle of June until middle of October. That's your window. And so northbounders, you know, start February, March, April. But they say if you don't make it to Harper's Ferry, West Virginia by the first week of July, you won't make it. Like, you might as well either stop or figure something else out, because you won't make it to Katahdin by the time they close the mountain. And so as much as, you know, me and everybody else in the world wants their finish to be on the top of Mount Katahdin, and you're there and you got the sign and you're like, yes, I did this. If I have to, I'm 100% okay with skipping. I'll jump up to Maine and then I'll hike south and finish wherever it is that I need to finish. If that's what it takes, then I will. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you are doing this for the National Brain Tumor Society. Does that have anything to do with your sister that just passed away?
Yeah, so my sister passed away back in 2005 from a brain tumor. My sister and I were very, very close growing up. And so she's kind of the one that I would go bike riding with, and we'd go out and do these fun outdoor things. And her and I had a very, very close relationship. We were definitely closer than sisters, definitely closer than best friends. And so um, when she passed away, it was very difficult, it was very challenging. But she was a fighter. She absolutely was a fighter all the way up until the end. And so one of the things that I learned from her is that I am capable of way more than I give myself credit for, which I think most of us have that issue, and I'm stronger than I know, and that I believe. And so she was always sort of my cheerleader in the corner for all of the tough decisions that I've made in my life. She was always there, cheering me on. And so in doing this, like every year, I've always gone and done the 5K in DC and so forth. And so for this big of a thing, though, I'm dedicating my hike to her for sure, because I know without a doubt that I wouldn't have the confidence, that's her voice in the back of my head that's like, "Now you got this. You got this. You can do this. Figure it out, but you can make it happen." So I'm doing it. I'm doing it for her.
That is sweet.
I'm sitting here looking at Roxy's adventure menu, and this is something that she has on her Instagram and Facebook, and you can donate to Roxy. You can give her food. You can give her gift cards. Help her mentally. I love the playlist. They can help you with a playlist. Dude, that can totally change your mood and just keep you focused. And if it's like rock or something, your pace might even be.
100%. I've gotten, some of the kids here. It's been great at the resort. They've all made me playlists, and so it's super awesome. Doesn't cost anything. It's this fun thing, and they can keep adding to it. I can keep listening to it. And I love music. I'm a concert live music junkie. This will be the first year that I haven't gone to probably, I won't go to any concerts, but I normally do 20 to 40 concerts a year. And that's kind of like, yeah, that's like church for me. And so instead the AT will be my church. And so, so having that music and having that support, knowing that somebody back home had a lot of fun putting this together. And you go from like the Beatles to this crazy AC/DC, right? Like, so like all these like all over the place stuff, and so it's fun because I know they had a good time putting it together, and it keeps you motivated, keeps you going.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that.
But dude, $5 gets her a candy bar. You can get her some fruit. You can get her an indulgent meal, an actual hot meal. I mean, I'm going to put this on our Facebook chat thing because this is just awesome.
Yeah.
You probably didn't think this up. This is probably something that's done with other hikers.
Yep. So there was another hiker I saw who did this last year, and I borrowed it and modified it, and it tweaked it a little bit, but it's been the coolest idea because a lot of people have asked, like, what can I do? What, I want to support you. How can I help? Like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like we said at the beginning, I want to be like hiking with you, vicariously through this. And so how do I be a part of it? And the gear and things like that, like, is very personal. And so, I've tweaked my gear down. Like, I have my gear. And so there's a ton of other ways though that people can support and be a part of it with, like you said, as simple as a candy bar. You have no idea how much a candy bar is going to mean to me while I am on the trail. I'm a fan of paydays, just throwing that out there now. But candy bars, any kind of little things. The mental stuff is huge too. Sending me pictures, even just so that I know that there's more going on out in the world, and I can have a moment to step away from what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Well, Natalie and I are going to put you on that list. We're going to do something.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
But you have
I have an
Venmo.
idea
You
of
have
what I wanna
Venmo, so we
do.
can send you that.
Yeah.
Can we send you a candy bar or just send you cash for the candy bar? You said I like paydays.
So
can't-
I won't actually publicly say where it is that I am going for safety
Okay.
reasons.
Yeah.
And as I am posting as I go along, I'll never really post where I'm at.
Mhm.
Again, it's a safety precaution, and so it'll always be a little bit delayed. But if somebody like folks that I know that are like, hey man, I want to mail you a package, then absolutely, I'll for the most part know my destinations, or at least for the most part.
Okay.
Well, you know us, and we're gonna hook you up.
Virginia, so they call Virginia the Virginia Blues, because it's the longest state, and you're kind of crushing state to state. It's 14 states you go through, but everyone says Virginia's the Virginia Blues. I think for me it's going to be the opposite, because this is home, and I have so much support, and I've had so many people, folks from the brewery, have been like, we're coming out and going with you, and I'm going to bring you a glass of wine, and then I'm going to go back down to the car. But folks here, want to come out and join me for a hike. My family's offered to come out, and so I don't think Virginia's going to be the blues for me. It's going to be like the party place. It's going to be the good time.
Yeah. There you go. So we'll have to send her stuff, not while she's in Virginia.
I'll send it to her in Maine when she's almost done.
Yeah.
And I don't send it to you until you get to Maine. How about that?
There you go. Absolutely. Congratulations.
Okay.
You finally made it. Here you go.
Yeah.
So shoot, I was gonna say something and I totally lost it. Oh, talk, Natalie. I'm gonna think of it.
We were talking about sending her stuff.
Well, I know I'm gonna send her stuff.
Oh.
I'm
okay.
bad at geography. So
Okay.
we get the Shenandoah National Park beside us. Where does the Appalachian Trail go from here? I don't even know where it is here in Virginia. Help me.
So the Appalachian Trail starts on Springer Mountain in Georgia, which is east of Atlanta. And then you kind of hike up through the Smoky Mountains, and you go up through, it's 14 states total. So from here, it catches, right sort of where North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia meet. And then it trails all the way up the, west side of Virginia, all the way up to
Side. That's the Appalachian.
So straight up through Shenandoah. Shenandoah is the AT essentially. So it goes.
That's what I was asking.
Yep. So when you did Old Rag, you were just east of the AT.
Okay.
All right, that makes sense. So we can
Yep.
meet her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
God.
like 45 minutes from here. It's a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah, I mean, hiking here, I know these trails. I know this stuff. I had a friend of mine invite me to go hiking. He leads hiking trails in Nevada, in Vegas.
Yeah.
And he did 52 hikes in 52 weeks of the year, and you got a special playing card. And at the end of the year, you get a deck of cards. That's cool. I would do that. And he knows I'm not going to get lost. It's not that we're going to leave at 6 and get home at 3 the next morning, or not knowing where we
We
are.
have never done that. We have never done that.
It could happen.
We've literally gone on the whole time I've known him, 3 hikes. The rock scrambling, one time before we had kids together, and then we went on one that's not that far. I really don't think you can call it a hike, because it was at a little playground that just had a trail that went around.
Oh yeah, like a loop. The loop.
Yeah.
And we could have done that in our backyard.
Much hiking as we've ever done.
And I didn't get shot because we're on somebody else's property. And
We're not on anyway.
I didn't like it.
Well, the good news is if you come meet me in Shenandoah, the kids can handle it for sure, because Old Rag is by far the toughest anything around here. I actually posted in our chat groups, and I told everyone, I said, if you guys want a good test run for the Mahoosic Notch up north, when you get to Shenandoah, hop over and come over to Madison and do Old Rag, because it'll be a good test of your skills as to whether or not you should quit now or keep going. So
there you go.
They didn't post about that already?
No, I was one of the first people, and then it just kind of blew up, and everybody was like, oh my God, that's the best hike, or that's what made me want to hike the AT, or that's what got me into hiking was Old Rag. Old Rag is an inspiration for a lot of people. It's a tough cookie.
Wow. All right. So everybody can find you at Kicking Trail Rocks. KICKINGTRAILROX on Facebook. Same thing on Instagram. Or Same thing on Instagram, TikTok. I'll put all that on the Facebook group, and we're going to put this menu on there and all kinds of different things. Now we have to plan on at what point do we get you back on here? How do we know that we can get you back? Maybe a halfway point. You don't tell where you are, but you're 3 months into the journey, 6 months into the, well, not 6 months. We want to do like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
We would do like 3 or 4. Is there a way to do this? Do we talk off the air? Just tell me now that we can do it.
Absolutely. So that we can totally do it while I'm either out there, or I will be back in like the 3rd week of June for sure. As a like a quick stop back into Fredericksburg. But either way, yeah, absolutely, 100%. We can do it on the top of a mountain if I got a signal. Rock on.
Nice.
Dude,
That would
we'll
be
schedule
fun.
it. We'll get it figured out. This will be
Yeah.
awesome, and everybody can check in and then say, all right, well, the paydays worked. What else do you want?
Exactly.
What's the
Paydays
calendar?
yet? You sick of paydays yet?
Might be a little bit crazier. There could be some like twigs sticking out of it, or there might, gosh only knows. And I definitely won't look this clean, I can assure you. But yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's something else people could do, right? They can get you a hotel room for the night.
Yep.
They
Hotel
can,
rooms with your own bathroom and a bed are like, that's luxury living. Even if it is a Motel 6 with a loud air conditioner, it's luxury, I can assure you. So
Yeah.
that's the day you want to put in a 0 and just take it easy. Put your feet
absolutely.
in a bubble bath. That's me. I want a bubble bath.
Yeah.
Did you ever lead any hiking trails at Wilderness? Did you do hiking at Wilderness?
We have hiking trails here, but they're not very extensive. They're
You don't have to
fairly-
lead or anything.
no.
No.
Mm-mm. We do a walk with a hawk which is kind of cool here, but over at the nature trails. But we hope to eventually get some more trail stuff going. So we'll see.
Well, Wilderness Presidential Resort, like I said, I've been working there for 20 years. Lots of managers have come and gone, but we love you, girl. You've been awesome.
Yes.
And
Thank
we
you
wish
so much.
nothing but the best. I pray for everything that goes right. No twisted ankles. Don't fall between rocks and get caught.
Get all the way through 100%.
I've only seen the trailer of that movie where the guy gets caught and he has to get his arm amputated because he got stuck in a rock.
No, don't.
I don't know. I'm saying I can't even see the movie. I'm getting like goosebumps thinking about all the things. Girl, take care of yourself. Golly, you're gonna have some paydays, and we'll take care of you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's been fun.
Thank you. And I think that wraps everything up, except for one thing. We'll see you next week.
Check us out online at wesisley.com and patreon.com/Wes_Isley for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled Wesiseli.